Hey, check this out. This is my mango ginger kombucha. It's sweet and fruity and yet acidic and refreshing and just finishes off with that nice spicy gingery kick. This is an absolute delight for a kombucha, so come along for the ride. Hey now, around here we love our kombucha and it's super fun to play around with different flavor combinations and just find delightful surprises all the time. Today I'm going to do one of our current favorite kombuchas, which is a mango ginger kombucha. Now for this I am using some kombucha tea that I already have fermented, and this is ready for secondary fermentation. You can use your favorite base kombucha that you've got, or if you're just getting into this and you've got a SCOBY but you don't actually have kombucha running yet, you could use my recipe. You can check out the video on that, which is some green tea and a little black tea and some white sugar is how I made this right here. Regardless of the base kombucha you use, this is going to be a delightfully fruity and spicy gingery kombucha, so let's get to it because I can't wait. Step number one is going to be just getting some fresh ginger here and preparing it. I like to use the old spoon method here for peeling it. I did give this a wash beforehand. This was not organic ginger. I think you could tell just because it's huge or anything like that. So just to make sure that it is relatively clean on the exterior, we'll do that. Got all that ginger peeled up here. I'm gonna save this for the chickens. They're big fans of the ginger peels. And I started off there with just over 13 ounces of that ginger before it was peeled here. And that's going to be for the 1 gallon batch of kombucha that I'm making. And that's going to be plenty to get some nice spicy ginger kick into my finished kombucha. Just give this a really rough chop here just to expose more of that ginger to the kombucha once it's all together. And we are ready for our secondary fermenter. If you've watched any of my other kombucha videos, you've likely seen different secondary fermenters that I've used. I've played around with like 2 quart or 2 liter swing top jars. Those were great, except I did break some of them over the years and they were sort of expensive to replace. So I'm currently just using this gallon fermentation crock. I really like that. What I did here is just sprayed in some of my Star San sanitizer. I use that in my home brewing. I know we have all that probiotic bacteria that's going into here, so it's really unlikely that any other bacteria would be able to take hold, but just kind of creating a clean slate inside the jar. Of course, I say that as I use my hands here to touch the to touch the ginger and the fact that this was on an unsanitized board, but whatever, okay? Let me be weird about it. So we've got all our ginger into there. Now we're going to add our mango. So I've got this mango nectar. I've used this in a lot of different recipes, hot sauces, all kinds of stuff. I like these nectars. I find that they're really, really great for having just a rich fruit flavor, but it's way easier than working with actual fruit. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. For the record, I will measure out how much I'm going to be adding here. I'm going to go with 2 cups. We'll add that right into there. And I've just got my kombucha primary fermenter set up here. Got it balanced on top of a bucket and some things here just to make it a little bit easier for dispensing into my secondary vessel. As we're getting lower here in my primary vessel with that liquid, I have picked it up and tipped it just so that I'm far less likely to catch the SCOBY in the port for that spigot. Now I'm going to fill this up to a reasonable height here. I don't want to get right up tight to where the lid's going to be because I do want a little bit of airspace in there. And then also during fermentation, this might possibly expand a little bit with some of the carbonation in the liquid. There we go, just like that. Leave about 3/4 of an inch or a full inch there right at the top. And now we're ready to let this ferment. So I'm going to pop this back into the cabinet where I keep my kombucha and my kombucha bottles when they're naturally carbonating. And I'm going to let this sit here for a few days. So I'll keep that in this cabinet here and the door closed just to keep the UV light out because that does not play nicely with our probiotic bacteria. And a few days here will be enough time for that to ferment a little bit more and to just get a lot of flavor out of both the ginger and of course that mango nectar. After 3 to 4 days of that secondary fermentation, I have popped the fermenter out of that cabinet and we are ready to bottle. By doing this before this is fully fermented out, we're going to be able to naturally carbonate here and wind up with a nice fizzy kombucha, which is my preference when it comes to drinking this. So let's do it. Now, as far as our equipment goes here, I've got these Grolsch swing top bottles, and these are all in the 500 ml or 16 ounce range. I really like bottling in them. It's just super convenient to do. I also have a nice funnel for that. I've got this 2-cup liquid measure as well as a metal sieve, and all of these things I did spray down here just with some of my Star San sanitizer. I also have a bowl that I'm going to use, just right out of camera range there, where I'm going to be depositing any of the ginger that I wind up filtering out of here. So at this point, I'm just going to go here. This is the same process I always use for this bottling phase. I've got this lid, and I should mention that this actually isn't even the lid for this jar here. It just fits over top really nicely and prevents anything from getting in, and it allows air to escape during that secondary fermentation phase. I'm just going to get some of this liquid in here, and right off the bat there, I don't like to overfill because there's a greater risk of spilling, especially when it's right from the top of the jar there. I didn't actually catch any of the ginger with that first go, but that is going to start to happen here. As you can see, got some of that ginger there. Get a little drip off and fill here. Now as I'm filling up these jars, because I had this quite full initially, and I do know that some of the bacteria will have settled out to the bottom of this fermenter, I'm not actually filling up these bottles all the way that I want. I'm going to fill them up just right around the shoulder of the bottle for now. And then as I get down to the bottom here, where more of that thicker kombucha is with some of that sediment that's in there, I'll go back and top up all these bottles. And by top up, I usually try to take them around 2 inches from the top. That way we do have some headspace inside here so that carbonation can build there and then get into the solution of the kombucha. Here we are with all of these bottles filled how I want them, which used up everything inside that fermenter. I'm just going to get these capped, and then I will give them a quick rinse off just in case any kombucha splashed around at all on the bottle, so they're nice and clean, and get them dried off. And now, deja vu, we're right back into this cabinet here so that we're away from UV light, and we're going to let it carbonate here over a few days. I'll let these go for 4 days here, and now I'm going to take them, get them into the refrigerator, and chill them down. After letting this chill down overnight, we are at my favorite part, the tasting! Also, probably the easiest part, so let's do it. Just pop this here. Ooh, little tss. Now, I don't like to try to shake it up. If you take a look at the bottom here, you can see that we have some of that nectar that's kind of settled out a little bit in the bottom. There'll also be some bacteria in there. I try not to shake it up or agitate it too much before I've opened it, just in case that winds up creating some excess carbonation in here. And you can wind up with some gushing, which is not fun. I'm going to pour myself about a half bottle, which is what I typically drink in a day. Ooh, look at that. You can just see all the bubbles on there. It's sort of effervescent character. Ooh yeah, nice and bubbly. Just how I like my kombucha. You're coming right in the door there's that nice, rich, juicy mango character, which is kind of funny because I know it was juice that I put in there. But it really does have that sort of like very, like almost overripe, kind of slightly dank mango character. Really bright at the same time, and that's enhanced by what comes in right afterwards, which is that spicy ginger kick. And that ginger just carries right through the palate, and then it finishes with that sort of almost kind of dry, spicy ginger flavor. And ultimately, it becomes a beverage that is not only good for you with all that probiotic bacteria, but very flavorful and refreshing. So there you have it, one of our favorite flavor combinations around here, just to take that healthy kombucha beverage and make it flavorful and refreshing and just a delight to drink. If you give this a whirl, let me know what you think about it and if you made any sort of adjustments to what I did. But either way, till next time, keep your kombucha and your probiotics at 11.